globetrotting now.
I love it.
This is your favorite thing. You like to travel.
I love to travel. I love to travel. So I admire Johnny very, very much for doing what he did. But again, I think he did it at a time when it was a little, you and I talked about this yesterday, a little safer to hitchhike.
Because we're talking about traveling via
the thumb.
The thumb.
The old thumb.
Johnny Anderson, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. You are now a resident of Prescott for like two and a half years now.
Correct.
You've settled down for a little bit, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got a little 3-year-old boy here, so that kind of keeps me here.
when did you tell the story? When did you start being a globetrotter? What was this all about?
I started travelling on a Sunday, July 12th, 1987, 2 days after my 20th birthday, and over a period of 10 years.
Why?
Well, my uncle travelled a lot when he was a boy. I mean, when he was... he went in the army for many years. I think in his early 20s he decided to travel the world. So we're going back to a rough ballpark early 60s when it was the in thing to do, if that's the word to use. And when he used to come back from these travels, he'd bring back like American, the old Kennedy coins, back then, the dollar coins, and like money belts and that. And I was a young boy, I didn't know where these places were. Even at school, I didn't understand anything about geography. So that, I think deep down inside, ingrained in me from the beginning, that was the beginning of it all, I think. So to answer your question, I went for the UK punk scene when I left school. I left school at 15, and I was in the punk scene for about 2 years. Got a few jobs here and then, and like I said, two days after my 20th birthday, I was just so sick and tired of England. I thought, you know what, let's just get out of here and go somewhere and do something.
Where in England were you?
South End, which is southeast of England.
Now, is that where you were born?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Spent 20 years there, basically, yeah.
And then you just, so one day, you just got up and decided to start hitchhiking? Was that it?
It was about a year in the making. I mean, after the punk scene, even when I used to be a punk and sitting there...
What exactly is a punk?
Right. Punk in the UK, basically, I was more of the Sid Vicious type of punk in regards to, as Johnny Rotten said in one of, in this movie, you know, Phil from the Fury. I mean, you did get this kind of stereotype punk from the 80s onwards. But you got to remember, I mean, I was a young boy when the Sex Pistols even came out, the New York Dolls, this side of the pond, you know, and the Ramones. So, really, I was more of one of the characters that had, like, the spiked hair, you know, the leather jacket, the bondage trousers, bum flap and that,
So, when you started hitchhiking, was that your attire?
Not at all, no. I actually, when I left...
Probably not. That wouldn't have been wise,
Exactly, right. You know, trying to get a ride.
That's what I'm saying. How many would have picked you up?
2. No.
2.
But, no, when I went to Holland for 5 months. It was a start, just to get a base, to get an idea.
So Holland was your first stop?
Wasn't really hitchhiking through Holland. I actually had a place to start in Holland, but even that fell through when I got there. But I ended up getting work for 5 months in 3 or 4 different bulb places, meaning flowering bulbs, daffodils and that sort of thing. And that was the kind of, that got me thinking really when I was there for 5 months. I got a bit homesick, but I thought, I don't want to go home and get trapped there again. So after 5 months, which was near Christmas of 1987, I decided to go back on a round trip, quick flight back to Holland to continue. And that's when my travels really started, the whole hitchhiking thing. And to also answer your question, at the time I had short hair, but even as the years went on, I had, you know, like the baseball cap, coloured clothing, one little bag. I mean, I was very, very, very clean-shaven all the time. I've never...
Is it safer to hitchhike in Europe than it is in America?
That's a really hard thing to answer, really, because it's almost like saying you could live in the best neighbourhood in the States and still get ripped off and burgled and the rest of it. So.
And I got to tell you, you probably have, you know, 1,000 stories.
Right.
I mean, about going all over. You went, as I understand, 64,000 miles?
I hitchhiked 64,000 miles, not so much through 15 countries, although I went through 15 countries over the years, but, you know, I did about 34,000, 36,000 in the States, you know, all around Australia for the middle, New Zealand, and... Now,
did you stop and work in various places to support yourself? How did you do this?
My main work really was Holland to begin with. I worked there for 5 months, saved up some money, and then went back home, and then I started travelling through Germany, had a mishap there, went back home, and then I think everything really started for me, to answer your question, on Tuesday, July 19th of 1988, and I left for Australia.
You have a fabulous memory for dates.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, and I think the reason he does, he's taken 32,000 photographs, so you've got everything, and you've got all your memories.
Yeah.
Amazing. So can you just highlight, I know we don't, wish we had more time, but can you highlight a couple of things that come to mind?
Yeah, one of them, I got this ride from this guy on the eastern side of Australia in Queensland, really small little bitty town. I'll make it brief. It takes me out in the middle of nowhere, because once you start heading west from the coast of Queensland, you start going through like nothing really, almost like the Arizona desert, but just nothing at all. And we get out to this place, and you know, the guy kind of jumps in the water, it's night time, etc., and then we get back into this tent, and then here I am lying in this tent in the middle of nowhere, probably about 200 to 300 kilometres from anybody really. We'd seen like one vehicle on this dirt road all the way in, and here I am just lying next to him, and suddenly I feel this hard, excuse my French, but this hard erect, I should say, excuse my vulgarity here, but this hard erect penis against my back, and he's like, you want to make love to me? Here's this guy in the middle of nowhere, and it's just like, whoa. And that's one of the only times I think I really feared for my life, even though it was a hitchhiking ride, in theory, but...
Really?
I turned around to this guy, I won't use his name, but I said, I'm sorry, I'm not gay, and at that point, I didn't know if I was like, boom, this is curtains, or...
Yeah.
Well, see, now a woman wouldn't have the same reaction to that story.
Depending what kind of a woman you are.
Precisely right. So and then so that had to be scary.
It was.
And frightening.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, did you say no more of this? I'm done with hitchhiking?
No, that was the beginning of my hitchhiking career. At that point, I think I'd done about.
That's
this is Australia. This was 88. I continued hitching until 97, actually.
Now is that going in your? I'm presuming you're writing a book about all this. Is that going to go in the book?
Yeah, I spent 14 years on and off writing a 250,000 worded, as in quarter-of-a-million worded book. It's 400 pages in 10 font. And yeah, that's one of the stories that is the eventual second part of the book, if the first part ever gets recognised.
Now, my question is, of course, you went from country to country. Now, you couldn't have hitchhiked, so you had to have been making some kind of money to be able to... How did you get from country to country across the seas?
All I took with me really was the money that I made in Holland, and then to continue the question earlier on, when I went to Australia, I worked there for a couple of months. Just legally, I had to work for everything, worked there legally for a couple of months, and then that really, because really... in the 10 years that I travelled, I started off knowing nobody, and after 10 years, I slept off 8 nights. Just 8 nights in 10 years, and the rest of it was just true. I never once asked someone, could I stay at your house? It was just first ride, 5th ride, 8th ride, would say, what are you doing tonight? Well, it's getting dark.
You found that people were so generous in this way, right?
And that's was the inspiration for my book, because it's just such a unique story. It's so different.
The positive experiences, it sounds like, far outweigh the negative experiences.
100%, yeah. The whole thing was an experience. I chose to do it.
We have some of your photos when we return. We're going to show some photos of his travels.
Which will be very interesting. Johnny, this is great stuff, so stay where you're at while Tanya talks to you about a great restaurant in downtown Prescott called Seasons.
Next one.
Oh.
I'm not going to do that yet.
You're not?
I refuse to do that this time.
Don't do it this time, and then we're coming up more with Johnny then.
That guy did this.